Hey guys, Lance here. I wanted to go through a new idea today with AI here. Um, I have an idea for a paper I'd like to write, and I just have an idea. That's all I have. I don't have anything more than an idea. Haven't got a draft or anything like that, like I've had in the past. Just an idea. And the idea is this. Well, we've been working on some stuff related to therapy and addiction lately, mental health. Let's continue on to that. I like to ask ChatGPT if it could help me build, if it makes sense to build a paper, something like, why does Alcoholics Anonymous work? Alcoholics Anonymous, for those of you who don't know, is a group with about 5 million members in the United States of recovering alcoholics. I'm a member myself. It's a good program. It works. It's based upon 12-step program. You might have heard of 12-step programs in the past. There's a lot of them. It's an interesting, it might be an interesting case study to look at to see how our model of, the brain, quite simply, is working from a multi-sense, from a lower level to an upper level sense here. So, and I just get started, okay? I'm not gonna do the dramatic, I'm just gonna start. So let's go to ChatGPT. Where's Chat? Where are you? There. Okay. So again, I'm using the WhisperFlow app, which allows me to avoid typing. I speak into every entry field in every application on my desktop. So I'm just going to speak here, and I'm going to talk for a while. This is what I really want to demonstrate here is how you can be interactive with AI at a deep intellectual level. Now, if you've seen this before, it's not going to be a surprise to you. But for some of you, this might be a surprise at what level we try to communicate with each other. And I do say with each other. It's like having a co-researcher in the room. I've been thinking about another paper, um, something related to addiction, since we've been talking about that recently, and therapy. And a loose title I've come up with is Why Alcoholics Anonymous Works. So I don't know how familiar you are with AA. It's a 12-step program that people go through. Basically, it's a therapeutic program. People in AA tend to go to a meetings once a week where other alcoholics get together and discuss things. So there's an element of group therapy in it a little bit. Although the meetings aren't supposed to be, you know, like that. I mean, I'll explain a little more after. But then it's also private study. There's the 12-step program, and I'm sure you can go out and look for the 12 steps of AA and pull that in. What you're going to find is there's a couple of phases. There's an early phase of basically giving up and admitting that this stuff is, alcohol is, it's running your life, and you're not running your life anymore. It's running your life. Then there's a stage where you look at yourself and all your character defects, and you really take a look at those, and that's therapeutic. And then you take a look at all of the people you've harmed and go make amends to them, and that's therapeutic. And then finally, in the end, you iterate on this kind of for the rest of your life. That's the idea. Is that you go to meetings. The guideline is once a week to go to a meeting. Um, Guideline is to work the steps through 12 at least once. In practice, people will maybe work the steps once and then do them again if they really want to ensure a good sobriety. And there's a rule, not a rule, but a guideline that says if you're new to the program, 90 meetings in 90 days is a guideline. Now this is you do all this in lieu of going into treatment for alcoholism. So my question to you to start with is, how familiar are you with AA? Um, if not, get familiar with AA, and I'll help you with that because I can tell you all about the meetings and all about the subtleties of it. And then, second of all, is can we describe that from the PVPP model that we've built here? I'd love to be able to build up a descriptor of the AA program and see, and use it to trace through some case studies, some individuals, things like that. And maybe we end up in a paper with a paper in the end. It'd be kind of cool. We have why does CBT work? Well, it's not titled that, but that was the original idea. And now I'd like to say why does AA work? And we'll see where that ends up. So let's talk about that. Okay, that was me talking through whisper flow instead of typing. And here's the prompt, as you'll see. I talked for quite a while. I'm going to submit that to chat and see what we have. See what it says. So it's searching for Alcoholics Anonymous information. Okay, we got an answer here. Okay, I'm not going to read it, but I'm going to kind of go through it, and I'll go through it slow enough where you can read most of it, but I'm going to kind of highlight it and see what it says. I'm familiar enough with AA to start, but not enough to pretend cultural subtleties that can be restricted from official literature. Yeah, that's the key, because I'm going to be able to tell it that now, because I'm a member of AA, been a member of AA for a long, 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 long time. And I'll be able to talk to it about that. At an official level, AA describes itself as being a program of recovery. Yep. One important correction: 90 meetings in 90 days is a very common recovery world recommendation, but I did not find it as official AA requirement. No, it's not. So yes, I think we can absolutely describe why AA works in PVPV terms. In fact, there's a plausible paper here. So it thinks we might have something. So let's see what it says here. My first pass PVPP reading is step one targets the false corridor appearance directly. It attacks the permissive relicensing structure. Meetings reduce isolation, keep threat of relapse cognitively live. Yeah. Sponsorship adds guided correction, externalized judgment, real time intervention. Inventory confession of amends looks like deep layer 2 restructuring, memory reinterpretation, shame pride. Yep. Ongoing meetings and repeated step work will look like anti-relapse maintenance of corridor closure, not just acute recovery. That is correct. The whole A structure may function as a long horizon coupling destabilizer, or coupling stabilizer, I'm sorry, not destabilizer. Tries to keep layer 2 from relicensing the alcohol corridor while rebuilding the social and moral support that makes non-use sustainable. That sounds about right. Now, for those of you not familiar with the PVPP framework, um, just go with me for a while. PVPP is it's a model of human behavior. It basically models the brain and how we interact with people, how we make choices, how we look at our capacities, our capabilities, and make choices and interact with other people. And let's just leave it for that for now. Um, and just from this perspective, consider an alcoholic has a choice between continuing to drink alcohol and recovery. That's his choice. Um, And what we're trying to see here now is whether the AA program will influence the result of that choice, because addiction, alcoholism it doesn't have a high uh, recovery rate. It's not so great. Now I know if you go out and look at the stats. Actually, let's stop there because I want to tell this to chat while I tell you. So let's just keep reading here just a little bit. It's not yet a paper. It's a live thesis. Big question is whether the paper should be a narrow architecture like YA works structurally, or a broader one. A is a recovery corridor, closure, and maintenance system. We'll figure that out. See, your input matters a lot here. Okay, so it's we got to start. Um, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back and forth with Chat GPT and have a long conversation, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And I'm going to record it here so you can get an idea of the complexity and richness that can exist in a conversation with an AI. And I'll assert that it's going to be more complex and rich than you can have with another person, even. So let's just get started and do it here. Let's see. Hitting the record. This time, I'm not using WhisperFlow here. I'm actually using the Chat GPT record function in this case. I'm sorry. I apologize for that. But WhisperFlow is a great program. You got to check it out. Okay. Excuse me. So I've been reading through your response. I should have hit record when I was reading through it because you probably would have got a lot of insight from what I had to say. But basically, I looked at it, and yeah, what you're seeing here looks real good. Now you're looking for some input here, and yeah, I will give you a lot of input. So let me tell you my story. I've been an alcoholic for years and years and years, decades really. I've been in and out of AA. I've relapsed and gotten sober, and relapsed and gotten sober as many times as I can remember. I've had sobriety lengths of 7 years twice, after which I've had relapse lengths of several years. So I know a bit about this illness. I've studied the illness quite a bit, which is why we were able to, build an addiction paper earlier on. So yeah, let's talk about AA some. If you want to proceed cleanly, give me your practical breakdown of AA in order you think it actually works. What newcomers really experience first. Okay, let's start. Let's talk about that. What do newcomers experience? Um, they see a room full of people that say they used to drink and their lives were miserable and now they're happy. It kind of reminds me of the first time I went to a church where everybody around was just smiling and they were happy, and I kind of looked around and I said, I want some of that. Now, AA is not church related, but the idea is that you get to see an example of what life can be like for people that are in your situation. Now, the life of an alcoholic practicing is pretty miserable. It doesn't start out that way when you transition from when you transition from substance abuse to alcoholism. And we got to talk about that a little more. But when you transition, your life doesn't immediately become awful. But over years, sometimes decades, it becomes awful. And they have a saying in addiction: you got to hit bottom. You're basically your life has to get so bad that you can't see living your life anymore with the drinking. A quick note on addiction that you and I have talked about before is that I view addiction as a permanent transition in the brain to where you now acquire a need for a third substance. Normal people need food, they need water. The addict, the alcoholic, needs a third substance, the substance of choice for the addiction. Now, we're going to keep talking about alcohol here, but it's really true of cocaine, it's true of benzos, it's true of other things too. But imagine having a third need. You need alcohol along with food and water to live. That's what your brain kind of tells you. That's the way it feels. Matter of fact, the need for alcohol trumps those other two. The need for alcohol is more important than food. It's more important than water. And I've spent an entire 24 hours where all I did is drink brandy, didn't drink water, didn't eat food. So this sort of stuff can happen. So, um, what I tell people that are non-addicts, non-alcoholics, how hard it is to stop drinking. I say, imagine, if you're a normal person, imagine giving up food or water. Give up food. Go on a liquid diet for the rest of your life. You can do it. It's really, 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 really hard. And furthermore, you got to have a great incentive to do it. You basically have to have such negative health and um, mental health issues related to food that you choose to avoid it for the rest of your life. So that's what the alcoholic suffers. He gets to a point to where, he says, I just can't do this anymore. Waking up with hangovers, hiding your drinking, the shakes, the detoxification, um, trouble with the law, DUIs, the list goes on and on and on and on and on. And you get to the point to where you're just miserable. And you look around and you finally go, I got to do something about it. And someone mentions AA, and you get enough courage and you stumble into your first meeting. So, what a newcomer really experiences first is is at least a bunch of people that claim they were like him now that are happy, joyous, and free. I mean, it's that simple. These people are happy. And there's people in there from, 1 month of sobriety to 50 years. I know people that go to AA that have 40 plus 50 years of sobriety. My sponsor has 28 years of sobriety. He goes to AA almost every day. It's a big social outlet, of course, but that's really important for recovery as social outlets. So we'll have to get into that at some point. Um, so that's kind of what newcomers really experience. What meetings really do beyond the official description. I mean, basically the meaning is the guideline is you kind of go around the room and you get everybody a chance to talk. And the guideline is share your experience, strength, and hope. There will often be some reading where AA has a book called the Big Book, which is like the Bible for AA. It's called Alcoholics Anonymous. They call it the Big Book. It also has another book called the 12 by 12, which is called 12 Steps and 12 Traditions. And these two books make up the guidelines for the program. Um, so what some meetings will do is they'll read a chapter out of the 12 by 12. Step one, we became powerless over alcohol and our lives had become unmanageable. And we'll read that chapter, and then everybody will talk about that. They'll share their experience, strength, and hope along that topic. um, Now, I haven't discussed here the 12 steps of AA or anything like that, because it's not the purpose of this session here is not to discuss AA. The purpose of this session is to show you how I interact with AI to get to, uh, you know, to get to something. Oh, for a chat, I'm now talking to an audience, so you have to ignore that just for a minute. Anyway, what meetings really do beyond the official description, they allow you to expose yourself, to be honest, to uh, to tell how you feel, your experience. They're really this incredibly supportive social outlet where you can speak about anything and everything, and Um, be free. I mean, what's the word here? What's the word when you're vulnerable? You can be vulnerable in an AA meeting, and it's safe. There's anonymity. No one knows your last name, or that's the idea. Of course, nowadays everybody knows everybody. But the original idea was you started out by saying, I'm Lance A, or I'm Lance, I'm an alcoholic, and you never give your last name away. I'm Bill, and I'm an alcoholic. I'm Jim, I'm an alcoholic. Um, that was what the original idea was. Let's just keep going real quick here. What sponsors actually do. Sponsors' primary goal is to help you work through the steps. So they'll help you work through steps 1, 2, 3, 4, up through 12. And you spend time on each step doing reading, doing thought, doing discussion, things like that. It's the therapy program. Uh, Most sponsors will require you to call them every day to tell them what your situation is like. Are you doing okay? How you been, etc. And they'll push you to work on the program. So sponsors are very, very, very important. We'll talk about that more as we go. What step work changes psychologically? Uh, that's part of what we're going to have to derive here as we go. So I want to kind of quit talking here and hit enter here. So let's go to the last one, where AA succeeds or fails in practice. Um, I'll tell you right off where it fails is when people aren't ready. The alcoholic just isn't ready to quit yet, because there's a line in the big book that says your half measures availed us nothing, in that you were willing to do anything to get better. So your life has to become so bad. Oh, here I got to hit. Here I've reached the 10-minute limit, so I got to hit enter. So I just talked for 10 minutes here. That's how much I'm gonna. That's how long I'm gonna talk with AI here. Discussions like that. Okay, what you just gave me is a real starting point. It's much better than the official AA description. The important pieces of what you said are not incidental. They're probably the core of the paper. First, your newcomer accounting is strong. Newcomer tends not to experience doctrine, experiences life. Counterexample, people like me. It's a big deal. It means A, we're partly by reopening a quarter of the alcoholic's decision structure has already been marked as non-viable. Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah, most alcoholics feel they can never get better. Never get better. Second, your third substance formulation matters. It's a strong feminological claim. I don't even know what that means. Excuse me, I got a little voice problem here. I'm got a little virus that I'm still fighting. Whether or not one states it in neurobiological language, the lived structure is clear. Alcohol is no longer an optional pleasure. His experience is a dominant necessity signal. That's correct. And some of these terminologies are productive value, productive power terminologies that'll come out later. This video is not on PVPP structure framework. There's other videos. You can go take a look at those if you want to learn more specifically about PVPP. This doesn't assume that you know about it, but it might help. But again, the purpose of this video is just to show you how I interact with AI to build up, a research program, to do research and development. So let's continue here. 30, description of meetings is better than group support. When meetings seem to do structurally is at least 5 things. That's interesting. Repeated counter evidence, safety, honesty, environment, identity reclassification. They provide social stabilization. When an addict's private cognition starts to drift back, I can manage this. Maybe it was never that bad. Yes. Maybe just one. Yes. Maybe I'm different now. The sponsor interrupts that before it becomes action. That's what a sponsor can do, absolutely. And meetings remind you of all that. Sponsor does a couple, 3 jobs. Does AA work mainly by building sobriety, or does it first by closing the alcohol quarter? There's an interesting question. Now, this is more PVPP. My current answer, chat's answer, is sobriety is not the first thing that it affects. That's interesting. That's very interesting. That suggests a paper architecture something like this: addicts pre-A state, what newcomers encounter, why meetings matter, why sponsors matter, why step work matters, why AA fails. Okay, so we're getting to the end here. So your next best move is give me that line. Let's see, back up. Your sentence that the sentence that started with, there's a line in the big book that says, it's probably exactly where we should continue because that sounds like it will connect to the readiness level. Oh, okay, that was half measured availed with nothing. Okay, I'm gonna continue here. Again, I should have turned on Chat GPT while I was reading through this. I'm reading back to you, the audience, just to try to give you a feel for what I'm thinking and what it's prompting me to think, etc. But normally when I do this, I will say to chat, I'll say, okay, I'm going to go through your answer and I'm going to talk to it. And that's what I should. We'll do that going forward here. Um, Now, how far are we going to go with this? I want to go with this till at least we get a first draft of a paper. So that might be one, two, three more iterations. I realize this video might be getting long already, but this does take some time when you're doing core dumps of things that you know took 40, 50 years to learn. So let me go ahead and start recording the next answer here and talk to chat some more. Yeah, the big book line. Let me go look for my big book right now. Hold on. One thing I didn't mention also is that a critical element of AA therapy is faith in a higher power or God as we understand it. Now, I'm going to tell you, most people get turned off by God. Most alcoholics will get turned off. A lot of alcoholics will get turned off by God. But what AA did is something brilliant. It started out as kind of a spiritual program. I think it started out really Christian based, but the original founders got a brilliant idea to genericize God. And instead of saying pray to God as you understand him. And in AA we say we don't care who your God is. It can be a doorknob, or your God can be AA the group. We refer to him as a higher power. You 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 try to you must accept the fact that your life run by yourself gets run amok, and that you need to lean on a higher power to help you run your life better. And in Alcoholics Anonymous, every meeting is opened up with the serenity prayer, which is God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. There's a therapy prayer if you've ever heard one, but they never talk about the second or third verse of that prayer, which mentions Jesus, because they don't want any Christianity tied to AA. It's just generic. You can be Jewish, you can be Muslim, you can be Christian, you can be Buddhist, you can be a witchcraft, you can be anything, as long as you believe that there's something greater than you, like a group of people. A lot of people, their higher power is the AA group itself, the collection of people that represent AA that they can come to, and for guidance and for you know faith and hope, and that's really key. Matter of fact, the group with the meetings weekly kind of acts as a higher power, whether you want to acknowledge that or not, because it continues to show you what can happen if you sober up, and how it looks if you sober up, how it gets there. So let me run through the big book here real quick. Let's see how it works. I'm thinking this page 53. I know how it works. Here's the line right here. Half measures availed us nothing. We stood at the turning point. We asked his protection and care with complete abandon. We asked for God's protection, again, as we understood him. And then it goes and says, here are the steps we took, which are suggested as a program of recovery. Now, I don't need to repeat these steps because Chat GPT knows these steps. You know these steps. My audience doesn't necessarily know them, but they'll have to go out and look for them if they want to be interested in this. But there's key elements that you're looking for here. Like the start of the chapter is, rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. Those who do not recover are people who cannot or will not completely give themselves to this simple program. Usually men and women who are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves. So that gives you an idea. You have to give yourself to this program completely. Now it sounds like a cult. It really does. But it's not. What you're doing is you're giving yourself to a lot of therapy. You're just giving yourself to a lot of therapy. That's what it is. Sounds like a cult. It ain't a cult. I don't know. People, you can discuss that on your own. I'm not going to get into that. So let's see. Give me on that line where A fails when a person is not ready. Okay, let's see if there's something more here. Our stories disclose in a general way what we used to be like, what happened, and what we are like now. If you have decided what you want, what we have, and are willing to go to any length to get it, there it is, then you are ready to take certain steps. And it goes on, it says that some of these we balked, we thought there could be an easier, softer way, but we cannot. With all the earnestness at our command, we beg of you to be fearless and thorough from the very start. Some of us have tried to hold on to our old ideas, and the result was nil until we let go absolutely. Okay, these sentences I'm reading are read at every meeting, actually. They're called the AA How It Works. It's chapter 5 of the big book. You read the first few paragraphs, then you read the 12 steps, and then you read the final thing. And all of this is an attempt to kind of answer what Chat, let's say you're saying, give me that line where it keeps on, where AA fails, the person's not ready. It's when you can't do some of these things. Let me close out with the final paragraphs here. Many of us exclaimed, what an order, I can't go through with it. Do not be discouraged. No one among us has been able to maintain anything like a perfect adherence to these principles. We're not saints. The point is we're willing to grow along spiritual lines. The principles we have set down to guide us to progress. We claim spiritual progress rather than spiritual perfection. So then it goes on to say that we were, description of the alcoholic, the chapter of the agnostic, make clear 3 pertinent ideas. Here's the key elements of AA. That we were alcoholic and could not manage our own lives. That probably no human power could have relieved our alcoholism. And C, that God could and would if he were sought. God as we understand him. So let's let Chat have that and let's see where it goes here. And this time when I start working through the response, I'm gonna turn the Chat GPT recording on so they can hear, just like I'm talking to you guys, the audience. I'm talking to it because this is how I do research and development with Chat GPT, and this works wonderfully for me. Works wonderfully. We'll go a little further here. We'll go another couple interactions, and then I'll ask it to write a rough draft of a paper. We'll look at the paper, and then we'll stop. So you can get an idea how far you can go just with interaction. I was telling people the other day, I used to be a technical writer. And it used to be the technical writers dealt with words, sentences, and paragraphs. We don't anymore. Technical writers now work at the document level. We discuss what a document needs, what a document should have, and we get AI to do that to these documents. Make these 37 edits for me, please, and it'll do it. Okay, I'm gonna hit record here again. Oh, I got a phone call coming in. Sorry. No, we're okay. I'm gonna hit record. Okay, now I'm recording the chat again. No, I'm not. Sorry, I did not. Am I recording yet? Yeah, I'm listening. Okay, so I'm going to go through here. I haven't read this yet. I'm going to go through it right now. This helps a lot. It sharpens the mechanism. A starts by attacking self-rule as a failed control system. Absolutely. Your higher power and relying on your higher power is important. The core AA claim is not drinking is not bad. That's right. I mean, matter of fact, AA says drinking is a symptom. Drinking isn't the thing; it's the symptom of something else. Matter of fact, there's a term called a dry drunk, which is a person who gets sober in AA or any sobriety, but doesn't change their life or their behavior, or their thoughts or anything, and they're basically who they were without the substance in hand. They're basically, an alcoholic who's not drinking. It's called a dry drunk. Half measured avail is nothing is a structural statement. Yes, it is. It's not lying. This is not just moral rhetoric. It's really saying if you leave part of the old relicensing system intact, it will reopen the corridor and then the whole thing comes back. You're exactly right. That's exactly what it does. This fixes addiction perfectly. So in AA terms, AA seems to assume partial closure is unstable. That's correct. Higher power move is structurally brilliant. Yes, I agree. This was brilliant. This was brilliant. Now, my religious friends and my colleagues and even my family will get upset when I say this, but it was actually brilliant for them to genericize God because it took God out of the equation but left it in at the same time. We don't say, in AA, we don't say God is, we're going to describe him to you. We say God as you understand him. And I knew people that had a doorknob for their higher power. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But in practice, there's a lot of atheists in AA. I can think of two right offhand right now. They're atheists. They don't believe in God. Well, they don't believe in God in the traditional sense. They believe in AA as a collective intelligence, the higher power is the group. So some of them will just say they won't reference God so much. They'll say, I'm going to pray to my higher power now. Oh, prayer is very important. I mean, most people in AA, most successful people in AA say they spend up to a half hour in the morning, not in meditation, but in contemplation, in prayer, in planning their day, and in praying that their day, follows a good path and that they don't drink, etc., etc. And at the end of the day, they'll look back and see what their day was like and thank God for that, etc. I mean, I know some people put some people put their shoes under their bed so that they have to get down on their knees to grab their shoes. And that gives them a time to pray on their knees and they feel humble. So that's what that does. That teaches humility, gives you time to self contemplate. It gives you all this therapy time. Um, Something personally I have not said here yet, but I believe in God. Yes, I do. I'm a Christian, but I also freely acknowledge that the faith in God is the most important thing, not whether God exists or not. The faith is what's important. The person who believes is what's important to the person, not whether God is there, controlling the strings or not. So in essence, and this is going to really upset some sets of people, but I got to say this to ChatGPT because this is key, and that is even though you believe or that the whole premise here is to turn your life over to God and let God's will be done. The reality is whether God exists doesn't matter or not. It's your willingness to turn it over and believe that matters. Your willingness to walk a path where you're not in control or not trying to manipulate or not, it's complicated, it's subtle, but it's important. We can talk about more of this a little bit later, but let's just leave it at that right now. That upsets my truly God believing friends, and I truly believe. I truly believe in Jesus Christ, but it's a choice of mine. I just chose that. It's not, I chose to believe. So you can choose to believe in the doorknob if you're in AA. You can choose to believe that the group is your higher power, your God. Okay, what's going on here? It relocates authority outside the relapse. Da 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 da. Meetings are not just important, they're repeated jurisdiction transfer. That is correct. All this stuff. Let's see. Remember, I'm talking to ChatGPT now. I'm recording for ChatGPT as well as talking to the audience. Chat, you got to remember also, I'm recording a video and I'm talking to an audience as well as you. Ready probably means the old quarter has become non-defensible. Oh, that's absolutely it. Just like you got to become so obese and so diabetic that you can never imagine your life with a substance again. You got to be, you got to say I'm willing to stop eating because life with eating is killing me and I don't want to die. That's what it comes down to is an alcoholic reaches the point to where they say, I'm going to die and I don't want to die. Many have suicidal feelings. Many attempt suicide many times. Many succeed. There's a saying in the big book that there's only three outcomes to the disease of alcoholism. That is insanity, death, or recovery. One of the two, or one of the three. I'm sorry. So you got to be ready. That's when you hit your bottom, when things get so bad that you can't see living with alcohol ever anymore. You just, even though you want it, you have to have it, you need it, you just can't see living with it anymore. So this is, now it's talking about in productive value, productive power terms. The alcohol corridor is finally judged as globally non viable. That is correct. And the person is willing to transfer governance to an external recovery structure. Yes, belief and willingness in God. That is more precise than hit bottom. That is true. PVPP framework is mathematical. I should add, I haven't mentioned that yet, but it is. So all of this is math based. Step work looks less like doctrine and more like staggered corridor restructuring. Phase 1 corridor closure, phase 2 governance transfer, deep layer restructuring. Okay, let's just go on. This video is getting a little long. I did, not a purpose of this video is not to give you a tutorial on AA. Purpose of this video is to show you how I'm giving ChatGPT a tutorial on AA so that they can write a paper for me. One major paper risk. This one obvious risk we should not dodge. A is culturally loaded with many people have strong opinions about it, yes. So the paper should not claim A works for everyone. And that's true. That's right. We can't do any of that. Safer claim is A can be structurally described as a program that closes the alcohol corridor, transfers governance away from the relapse prone self, restructures distorted self modeling, and maintains recovery through repeated social and moral reinforcement. I agree. My current best synthesis of your account so far in one plain sentence. AA works when it works because it stops the alcoholic from having to rely on the same private decision system that kept reopening the alcohol corridor and replaces that with an externalized, repetitive, honesty based recovery structure that closes the old path and keeps new and live. Okay, good. Best next move. We should not jump into a paper yet. I was okay, right next thing is a grounding memo. Okay, let's do this. So we're finally at the point to where chat wants to build something. It wants to build a document called Decision PVPP Decision Supports Alcoholics Anonymous and Recovery Corridor Closure and Argument Memo. Okay, so we're getting now to near the end of the video. I'm going to actually tell, now I'm going to tell ChatGPT to proceed. That's all I'm going to do. So proceed with the document and let's see what the document looks like. So transcribing my discussion. And now all that text, I'm submitting all that text to ChatGPT. And I think it's going to come back. It's either going to come back right with a paper or it's going to ask me one more time to build it. But I suspect it's just going to go build a paper right now. Thinking. Now, this may take some time. If this ends up taking long, I'll fast forward through it and bring you to the paper. What I want to do next is I just want to show you what ChatGPT built as a starting block for, again, this goal here is to build I'm using this new research and development paradigm of using AI to build a new document on a theory to describe why Alcoholics Anonymous may or may not be beneficial in the treatment of recovery. The evidence is it's beneficial. The estimates are there's about, what is it, 5% of alcohol. I think it's 5% of alcoholics enter AA. There's about 5 million in the United States members, I believe. Don't quote me on that. I'm not getting into the stats right now. That's not what I'm about. I'm just about showing you how to use chat. I don't know if you can read this, but it's going through its thought process. Okay, I'm gonna shut up for a bit and let it do its thing. This may work for 5-10 minutes. I don't think it'll be that long, but it'll probably be 5 minutes. So I'll let the recording run. I'll stop talking and we'll fast forward through this section to the next section. We'll look at the paper and then we'll call it a day. Okay, we are back. Um, this took 3 minutes, so I didn't fast forward much. It's giving us a document. Let's download the document. I'm going to put it in a temporary folder and we'll go look at it. Here it is. Is that it right here? What do we call it? J417. Structural psychiatric phenotype. No, that's not it. How come I can't find the document? I'm sorry. Oh, found not found. We got an error. That's why. I'm sorry. So once in a while, you hit a bug in chat. Once in a while, this happens. So I try to download it, and I get an error on downloading, and it's not. It's an annoyance. Let's see. Yeah, it's an annoyance. It's not a big deal, but this is how you fix it. I got that file not found error. Can you rebuild it for me? And it will go out and rebuild it again, and it should be pretty quick. Since it's done the work already. Yeah, here it's done already. See if we can get it this time. Oh, I stayed in Explorer here. I'm sorry. Oh, there it is. I didn't move back to chat on my video window here. I'm sorry. But that's okay. So what's the name of our document? What time is it here? It's 3:19. Right here. Here it is right here. Is that right? No, hold on. I think we're hitting a bug. We're hitting an error here, I think. Hold on. Let me look at it again. What document did it create for me? Hold on. I think we hit a bug and yeah, we hit a bug. We hit a bug in this program. It rebuilt. It didn't rebuild the AA document. It rebuilt the document that it built for me yesterday. So I gotta tell chat that it broken. That's broken. Hey, you built the wrong doc for me. You rebuilt a doc that we worked on yesterday. I want the document I'm looking for you to rebuild is PVPP Decision Framework, Alcoholics Anonymous and Recovery Corridor Argument Memo version 0.1. Rebuild that document for me, please. It'll probably come back and say, my bad. You can see this stuff is not bug free, but when you consider the amount of productivity that's getting done here, putting up with a bug or two is no big deal. I mean, it's just, the productivity is just phenomenal. Looks like it's having to rebuild it, I guess. Yeah, the productivity. When you look at what we've done here, we've interacted with, this is like I had a writer interview me, and now the writer is going to go back, which would normally be a month, you know, easily a month, weeks for sure, to write all this down. Um, okay, a week maybe. It doesn't matter. The point is we're getting it done in minutes. So we're compressing the research and development paradigm from weeks to minutes. That's phenomenal. And we're going to end up here just with a rough draft. But I have another video if you want to go look at it where we take a rough draft all the way to production final to submission to a journal, and that occurs in under an hour. So here we're going to spend an hour or so building a rough draft. I can spend another hour and have this thing ready to ship. I mean, this is phenomenal. No, I wouldn't get any review from any people, but what I do is I get review from other AIs. So, but that's the subject of the other video. When you do research and development with multiple AIs, it compresses time like you wouldn't believe. So go watch that other video. I forget the name of it, but you'll have to look it up. All right, I'm still waiting for this doc. I'll shut up for a minute and we'll fast forward to the completion. I'm sorry I've left you on Explorer this whole time. That's my fault. I should be on chat. For those of you that have never made a video before, I've got my machine set up so that I have to select the window that I'm screen recording from. So before I switch to the Chat GPT window, I have to switch to it in my video recorder, or when I switch to the Explorer window. So I left that on the Explorer window and I got stuck. I'm sorry about that. Okay, we're back. Yeah, it says yes, I rebuilt the correct document this time. I love ChatGPT. All right, let's go download it. It's called AA something. Let's pop over to Explorer and it should pop up here, right up there. Alcoholics Anonymous and Recovery Corridor Closure Argument Memo. So let's open this up and look at it, and we'll page through it, and then we'll end the video. Come on, here we go. Let me get you over to Word. And here is the document. So let's just page through the document. I'm going to turn chat record on again, folks, because as I talk to the document, I want it to hear me. So let me just do that real quick. You can't see it. I'm off. Looking for my mouse. There it is. I'm off screen. But I'm turning record on again because I want chat to hear everything I'm going to say. Okay, so here's the document. Alcoholics Anonymous Recovery Corridor Closure Argument Memo. This is internal paper that I can use to build another paper, a paper that's worth publishing. Why A is worth analyzing in PV terms. This is discussing why the PVPP framework can go a long way to explain this. See, A is not merely a support group. Well, I'm not going to read all this. Core feminology. I've never feminology. I don't even know what that word means. Working PV transition, the pre-AA state, what appears target first. Okay, this is all good. Higher power as externalized governance, that's good. Sponsors, step-by-step stage recovery. Remember, this is an internal memo. Readiness bottom, why AA fails. Let's see how many pages we got here. We're looking at 6 pages. Why AA is not just group support. Bounded paper claim. This is discussion if we wanted to make a paper on this and publish it, which is what I want to do here eventually. Best paper route from here. Why AA works. A is a false corridor, etc., etc. What still needs to be grounded. Final judgment. And here, let's read this. A paper on AA is viable. The current lived account already supports a real, non-trivial thesis. AA works, and when it works, by replacing failed private alcohol governance with externalized recovery structure that closes the old corridor, rebuilds honesty and self-reading, repairs damage and domains, and keeps sobriety socially and spiritually alive over time. All right, that's basically what it does. That's great. Okay. So where are we at? We are at the end of our video. I hope this gives you an idea of the richness of discussion you can have with AI. And this works not with just chat, but it works with Gemini, it works with Grok, it works with all these. You can have these long discussions, back and forth discussions with these things, and build up ideas and have it produce document for you. So this will be a first step. The next step will be to take this from a rough idea to a finished document. I'm not going to record a video on that because I've already done a video on that on a different subject. And if you go out and look for that video, you can check that out. So, this is Lance. I want to thank you for making it this far if you've done so. And if you found this valuable, hit like and click subscribe. And I look forward to talking to you next time. Take care.